Thank you so much for watching Smart24 TV, where we drive your business. Remember, Smart24 TV is pledging its support for business in Uganda, and we give you business content 24 hours, 7 days a week. And this is the point. A show, of course, where we bring on board policymakers, influencers, and of course, key players in Uganda's economy and discuss issues that are so pertinent to our economy. Now, I want to return to you, Honorable Henry. We've had, of course, the views here of about, of course, how the economy is doing and how, of course, the microeconomy is not as projected by the big figures. But the government has put in place programs, and these have changed names, they have changed objectives, but still the aim is to get people into the money economy. That's what the government is saying. In your own opinion, as the Director of Operation Wealth Creation, and now we have a new model here called the Parish Development Model. Are these models situated for the current situations in Uganda? Are they suited for the Uganda in this current economy?
Mr. Moyes talked about governance issues. In the clear terms, governance issues about corruption. When you are going to have these programs, like parish development model here, it's decentralized. Previously, we have been having, if you still can say, now with the moment it goes to the village level, now that parish people, that parish committee says how they have been eating this money from the top. Now it's our opportunity to eat it. So, and basically, this is what's going to happen, or what is happening. The LC2 chairperson, who you are saying is the chairperson of the parish, he's volunteering. So he has a committee, you have that committee of more than 10 people, which is also volunteered to oversee that money. And this whole committee, none of those is on the government payroll. The only person you have who is on the government payroll is maybe a parish chief. Or a parish community, not even a parish community. We don't have parish community development officer. We have them at the county. So all the people whom we have there are volunteers. Before they disburse this money, they pay themselves. And when they are paying themselves, the little that remains goes to the wananchi. And this the wananchi also have the conception to be voted in 72 pounds. This is the casino. So at the end of the day, money meant for production is ending up being what? Squandered. And where are we getting this money for parish development model? We have cut all sectors within the government, pump about 1.4 trillion for parish development model. So even the programs that have been successful, in my view, even the programs that have been successful, let's say like in coffee, distribution of coffee seedlings, to increase on the coffee productivity, there is no money to pay for coffee seedlings to distribute to the farmers, coffee farmers. There is no money to pay to buy for tea seedlings to distribute to farmers. So somehow, an indirect subsidy to the agricultural sector. So you cut all this money to be, you throw it there. How do you expect this money to translate into production? And besides, how are you telling me that you're going to have 100 million shillings for my parish, for example, which is 4,000 populated, for 100 million shillings to develop you, the parish? When actually you give 100 million shillings to one individual to do a business and cannot take off. Give 100 million shillings to Moe to go and do production, to deal into like, for example, beans. That 100 million shillings will not even buy a truck. You have given it to Moe to do trade.
It's not a subsistence farm.
No.
And the government is saying,
if we are talking about commercial farming,
yes,
commercial farming, what will 100 million shillings do to it? Right? Somebody who is in poultry. Basically, 100 million is doing poultry farmer, your 100 million shillings will build him houses. It will not even buy chicks. So what's the point here? Me, I am making. The government should invest in 2 programs. Into educating, for example, the people, into giving them the seed to start. And when you are going to give a seed to start, this coffee seedling, you know, our cost, for example, now has increased. We are doing very well in the coffee sector. You put money into the towards these women will know how to weave crafts. So you make programs that will have a multiplier effect than giving this money that you are giving one guy at the Kalo, a saloon, because part of this money is going to go into saloons like Myoga. It's going into the saloon economy. How will the saloon economy increase production to the nation? How will the border economy increase production to the economy? Remember, it's also going into the borders. So most of our programs are populist programs. Populist. Nabanja Gabudi. That's Nabanja's prime minister. Gabudi. Like you remember how they were throwing 100,000 shillings during COVID. Okay. So there should be well thought of programs. Invest in research. Give now money to do research and multiply the technologies so that we are growing apples together, so that we are growing the wheat we are talking about, so that we are growing the barley, so that we come with improved seed variety.
But how about that farm?
Keep this money.
Who doesn't have that land? He has maybe one crowd, he has one cow.
There's what we call...
This is what government is saying.
Don't talk about land. Go to Israel. How big is Israel? It's feeding the whole world. How is it doing? They are doing vertical farming. You can go on zero grazing with the cows in stored corrals. You get my point? You can have that. So you don't need to have a very huge amount of land. You go and see those who have adopted these technologies, mushrooms. You grow mushrooms in a cavera. At home. You can grow mushroom in a sack in this room. Can feed a village. So those are the technologies that we need. What we say that let now give research like narrow. Greek, you get. You don't need a whole village. We can have bulls in the regions, semens, and you are transporting semens for cows, productivity of good heifers. You don't need physical bulls. You don't need to pay to have every quarter to have its own bull. You can have a semen collection center and distribute semens. And we are going to have better. So we need that kind of technology. And my brother, what I'm talking about is not an abstract. We have countries like Singapore, South Korea, Malaysia, the countries that we were with at the same stage of development. But because they adopted this kind of technologies, because they have zero tolerance on corruption, good governance, Singapore is the first world. Singapore, where you meet President, the late Milton Obote, when he was disposed of in 1972, we were at the same level. Singapore came here and took our development plan, which the UPC government had developed, duplicated it. Lee Kuan Yew they used the same kind of report. We are not, they are now a developed country. We are still a highly indebted developing country.
We
have Rwanda.
It's a process
which got out of genocide the other day. Rwanda is now a beacon of development with challenges that people talk about. Look at the level at which it is now. How are we different from Kenya, it's one biggest economy in Africa. One will talk that it is because it is near to the coast that it has those ports. We have Lake Victoria. We have an inland sea with inland ports. But you go at Port Bay, port, and see how it looks like. Okay? That is an inland port. You know, we are not really, the priorities in this country are screwed. What should have been on top is bottom. What should have been on bottom is top. So as a result, we are not taking a step forward. So even if when we are talking about, we go into the issues of this economic growth and you know what we're talking about, the wealth of the nation, that's why you measure those, how you see growth. Who is growing? You find that there's a small, it is like, not even 5% is big. The wealth that we are talking about, the growth, the wealth is oscillating in amongst less than 5%. There are many individuals, you get, like if you get the economy of the Kwagarana, make the simple matter simple, the Kwagarana, Udiri, Churumira, you the Kwagarana group, and you get their money, they account for about 100 districts. One member of the Kwagarana accounts for like 3-4 districts. Mm-hmm. You know, all the people now, you hear that the economy is in whose pocket, who is growing the economy? Now we have with this oil, we now have foreign investment. Now we are talking about this oil sector now. More the president will be opening the drill which are being, one of that stuff. We are now talking about $5 billion to be injected within our economy. Who accounts for that $5 billion? We are still having these foreign countries, foreign companies that are coming and do this kind of job. There is nothing local that's being injected in this country. Everything, this $5 billion, the way it has come in those materials. It will go through those technical advisors. It will go into those costs. Mind you, mind you, they are going to recoup those costs first before the nation gets its share. They first get their share. Those are the agreement, production sharing agreement. So at the end of the day, what do you have? These are the guys who are going to come. Yes. They are going to come driving. What do they call it? It's UVs. Okay?
V8.
V8s.
Get my point. Thank you, Honorable.
Both from where? Brought from their countries.
A kind of.
Is there anything that we are producing for this sector?
Yes.
We are talking about Kira Motors. Have we developed Kira Motors to develop even at least buses, the Kayora? You see 3-4 of them which are being experimented. Probably they could have even imported some of the buses. Then they said the other day, like we had one vehicle which was running on these streets and said made in Uganda. Is there any part that had been made in Uganda?
But even Boeing planes and Airbuses, they import the engines from somewhere and then the wings. Together.
My friend.
That's
my friend. When you go to say that, you will find that they are producing something. They are not importing every single.
But we're also trying to use our steel from the roofings and aluminium, which is locally.
Which steel are you using from roofings? Roofings, the import
the pallets.
Thank you. You have used the better word. All they do is to cut into small sizes of the bigger block they brought of steel, and you say we are making steel in Uganda. Nothing. All they are doing is cutting. I worked in Uganda, but all we were doing and all these industries are doing is to add corrugated edges. and then you say made in Uganda. What have you manufactured? Have you manufactured? Have you manufactured that iron sheet? No. All you have done is put corrugation. I get my point. Corrugation.
Yes.
Now we have all these all over the country with Chinese, with what they call Chinese factories and industries. What are they doing? All they are doing, they are assembling. We have these bodas made in Uganda. Is there any part of a motorcycle made in Uganda?
Okay.
All what they do is to assemble. They bring motorcycle in boxes and then assemble them.
Thank you.
So are you producing or you are what are you doing?
Thank you so much, Honorable.
And even when they are even going these days for assembly, it's assembled on the line automatically.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable. Mr. Mwezi, the government programs. Honorable there has just expounded on what he thinks about government programs, and that they could actually be off track because of the circumstances in which they are investing. You're looking at 100 million per year to parishes, about 10,000 parishes around the country, and each parish is receiving this 100 million, and they are cutting them into circles. They have these small circles where they're going to further split that money. Do you think this is efficient, or what could be done actually to make these programs better? Because I understand government does this in goodwill to see that they bring money, they bring people into the money economy. But what is the point they're missing?
Yeah, thank you so much, Anthony. Every program and plan is informed by research, and this research involved an assessment on previous programs, how they have performed, what are the challenges, did they actually achieve their intended objectives, were they successful, did they meet challenges, could they be improved so that they deliver on their mandate. Before the parish development model came, if you use, for example, the parish development model, before it came into existence, there were a number of programs. And these programs were targeting the 68% of Ugandans who are into subsistence farming, who mainly produce for food, and very little is left for commercialization. So now you have a program like Operation Wealth Creation. You have programs like Emyoga, the Youth Fund. Then you also have the Women Fund. So what has happened is to collapse these funds into the parish development model. So the different monies that were being sent to the district to support these different programs have now been collapsed and they put under the parish development model, so that within that 100 million, all of these services, all of these programs are catered for. To start with, this money at the parish is insignificant. 100 million for a parish, it's money, but it's very little. I've been here before and we have discussed this subject. My major concern is, have you trained this committee in credit management so that they will manage this fund prudently? I have only heard some kind of awareness being done about the program. What I'm not aware of, it could be happening, but what I'm not aware of is that there has been training to equip this committee to manage a fund. Now, based on past experience, because funds of this nature have been in place before. For example, in Tandikwa Fund, the perception that has been created over time in this country, and this is a very serious matter. There has been a perception created that any money from government is free money, and it is money to appreciate us for voting very well. Now, the parish development model is coming immediately after an election. The technocrats in Kampala in the boardrooms will speak very good English, and they will market and they explain the program very well to the different stakeholders. But to the ordinary Ugandan, to the intended beneficiary for this program, the perception is this money is an appreciation for me voting properly. I'll give you an example for the youth fund. Those are some of the challenges the youth fund has had. So now you are withdrawing over $1 trillion from the budget, cutting different budgets, subduing some programs, and then putting this money into this program, putting 100 million at a parish to support the parish, to support people at the parish, to do business, to do production, to do commercial activities, so that you bring them into the money economy. My concern is, have you carried out an assessment to know, for example, if I put money in parish X, these are the different activities in this parish, and this is what people will engage in, so that they generate production, and then they generate money, and then definitely they go into the money economy. So sometimes we come up with programs, package them very well to appeal to the general good, but when actually we are doing politics. When we are actually doing politics. And I hope and pray that this is not a political program to keep people busy, engaged, filling forms here, forming associations here, up to the next election, so that you have something to talk about. So for me, our priorities, if we are to address some of the challenges we have, we need to know what our priorities, where is our competitive advantage. As a country, our competitive advantage is in agriculture and tourism. Now, this is where we need to focus. And the Honorable here has been emphasizing the issue of agricultural mechanization, introducing technologies. I want to believe that the government of UPC was not wrong to establish a cooperative bank. It was not wrong to establish cooperatives. Bring farmers together who are in a particular commodity. They trade together, they are organized together, they look for markets together, they negotiate credit together, they are able to grow. If you do your research, Anthony, you'll discover that most of the people who are providing us leadership today, they were educated by money from cooperatives. Because cooperatives were actually working, they were doing very well, generating a lot of revenue. But over time, we killed them. But interestingly, again, we are going back to that kind of model in a disguised way using circles. So for me, invest in agriculture, put in money, invest in research. Why should research institutions in agriculture struggle for financing, struggle for funding, put their money?
And that's our backbone.
Yes, that's the backbone of this, but that's why we also have competitive advantage. Uganda is strategically positioned that if we invested money in agriculture properly, invested in technology, zone this country, we can feed East Africa.
We're returning, Mr. Moise, very briefly for our final segment. Our time is fast spent, unfortunately, but thank you so much for those wonderful, wonderful insights. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the point where we talk policy and, of course, get to bring policymakers on board. We're going to take our last break and return with our final segment. Now, according to also reports here, we do have the Africa Continental Free Trade Area underway, and it is going to be seen as a project that's going to unlock the African potential as well as regional integration. Over 55 countries and 1.3 billion people with over 3.4 trillion US dollars involved in this project. What does Uganda have to actually contribute to this? And if we are to revive our economy, what are some of the other things that we must actually look at and transform? Thank you so much. Stay with us. We'll be right back.